sixth weekend indoors, and I started thinking about highlighters. It snowed here this weekend in New England, so I started to think what it would be like to actually, you know, have warm weather and be outside. And I thought I would do a video on all the highlighters that I have in my collection currently. I actually did declutter a little while ago, so I have less than I used to. But I do have illuminating fluids, and I have illuminating powders, and then I have products that call themselves highlighters. And I thought I would just kind of go through, show you what the differences are, do a little bit of swatching, although it's hard to tell in my skin tone because most of them are about the same tone as my skin tone, but I'll do my best and explain the differences to you so that in these days where you can't go to your Sephora or your Nordstrom or your Neiman's or your Ulta or wherever you're going and try these things out and feel them and touch them, hopefully I can do a little bit of that for you. And right now there are sales going on. Neiman's is going to be having a sale. I don't know if it's already going on. It'll probably be going on when this video goes up. Of course, Sephora's having their big sale. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm not wearing any highlighter at the moment. I am wearing a full face of makeup. I do have on bronzer and I don't have any blush on. I forgot blush. That's okay. Let's go ahead and use the Sisley blush highlighting blush. This is not going to be part of the highlighters, but I figured it's a good fit. This is the coral color. And let's do just a little bit of blush. I'm not going to do a lot because I want really to talk about highlighters today. Okay, but it is one of my favorite blushes in case you're interested in blush. Okay, so what I'm going to start with is illuminating fluids, and then we'll go to the powders, and then we'll go to the products that call themselves highlighters. First, the Hollywood Flawless Filter. Now, this is a product that I've been using for a very long time. I have it in 2 light, and you can use this as a highlighter just on your high points of your face, or you can use it as an all over. And you know what? We're going to put it, let's put it here so you guys can see it. Like I said, my skin tone, not much I can do about that, but there's the Charlotte Tilbury, if you can see it. I did turn down the lighting so you guys could see it better, but still, a lot of this is going to be a lot like my skin tone, guys, so it's difficult to tell. That particular fluid is, I think, good for, I mean, I haven't tried the other colors, obviously, but it's a good highlighting fluid for all over. It's a little bit thicker. It gives you a little bit more of a glow if you're looking for something a little bit more substantial. The next one is the Les Beiges, the Chanel Les Beiges Sheer Healthy Glow Highlighting Fluid. This is in Pearly Glow, and I did a whole video on this, and I'll show you guys that up above, but you can see the difference there between those two. And then the Rosy Light. What I would say about both of the Chanel fluids, and I only have those 2, in comparison to the Charlotte Tilbury, is like I said in the video, they are a lighter glow. They are very pretty on the skin. They give you a gorgeous glow, a gorgeous all over highlight to your face. And you can use them again as just highlights in your high points, but it's not as dramatic as the Charlotte Tilbury, in my opinion. Also, the Charlotte Tilbury is a little bit thicker in viscosity. When you put it on your skin, it has like, you can actually feel it has like a bigger more of a layer. It's creamier than the Chanel, so I think it's gonna give you a little bit more of a glow, more dramatic glow than the Chanel products. Okay, so those are the fluids. So we'll start with those. Those are the I think products if you're looking for a all over glow, if you want something light, if you want something just to, you know, give you a little bit of a dewy finish, those are the products for you. Okay, next we're gonna move to what we call illuminating powders. And it was really interesting when I was going through all this trying to figure out how I was gonna break this down, because some products call themselves highlighters, some products call themselves illuminating powders, some products call themselves something totally even different than that, which I'll get to. So, the illuminating powders, we have a few. We've got Chanel, and there's more on the market. These are just what I have. We have Chanel, we have Tom Ford, and we have Hourglass. Let's start with the Chanel. These are the Chanel Les Beiges. The first one is in sand. And again, I did do a review of these for you guys. This is really, really light. So it's gonna be tough for you to see, but I will do my best to give it some. That's the Chanel Sand, and then the Chanel Sunset. Now both say illuminating powders. You could use, if you're light like I am, you could use the Sunset as a bronzer, which I think a lot of folks have done. That's what I did in my review of the Les Beiges. You can see how much darker that is. But again, I have a very pale skin tone, so for me, it works better as bronzer. But they do refer to it as an illuminating powder. That's actually the name of it. Next is the Tom Ford. Now this is a powder duo. It's the Skin Illuminating Powder Duo in Moonlight. That's what that looks like. And so the top shade is the light shade. And the bottom shade is the darker shade. And I use this very much like the Filmstar Bronze and Glow by Charlotte Tilbury. They have a similar look to them, I think. And I use the darker one as a bronzer and the lighter one as a highlight. But again, that's because I am so pale. If you have a different skin tone, it might work very differently for you. But they're still referring to those as illuminating powders. Of those comparisons between the Chanel and the Tom Ford, I would say the Chanel is very light, especially the sand. It's just a very, very light highlight. For me, it's almost just like a little bit of dewiness. It's not really, if you turn your head, you don't really get like a huge highlight. It's more like a light look. The Sunset I was using as more of a bronzer, so I didn't use it as a highlight, so it's a different kind of thing. With the Tom Ford, with the Tom Ford Moonlight, 01 Moonlight, again, the highlight, it is a very nice highlight. It's stronger than the Chanel. It definitely is more pigmented. You have a stronger highlight look, but the darker shade I was using as a bronzer. So if you have a darker shade skin, you could use that differently, of course, than I have. I am very pale. I mean, it's hard to tell with all these lights and on camera, but I am definitely fair. The fact is, I have literally been indoors for 5 weeks now. Indoors, like I have not gone anywhere. So my skin is even paler, which I didn't think was possible, but it's really, really pale. It's on the very, very far fair spectrum. So all of these products I think are gonna work very differently for folks, for most folks, because I don't think most folks are as pale as I am. But it gives you a way to figure out like where you might be, because if you fall in the more light or light medium or dark skin tones, you'll know that these types of products are gonna look, you know, they look like this on a very, very pale skin, what it's gonna look like on a darker skin tone. And I think of the Chanel and the Tom Ford is probably better for a darker skin tone because it's more pigmented. It's gonna give you more payoff for the look that you're going for. Okay, so those are illuminating powders. Then we have the Hourglass. Now, in my opinion, the Hourglass is in a category all by itself. So Hourglass has ambient lighting powders, it has setting powders, it has highlighters. Their powders are all a little bit different. I'm just gonna focus on, I'm not gonna do their setting powders, I'm not gonna do their bronzers, I'm just going to do the Hourglass Strobe powders, which is what I use as highlighters. And there are Hourglass Strobe powders that you can buy by themselves, or you can buy them in palettes. Now, if you're wondering what I'm doing right now, I'm cleaning the covers of the Hourglass because I try to keep them neat, but they are really reflective really reflective. And no matter what you do, they get dirty, like immediately. I mean, I try and it's a disaster. So anyway, so this is the Ghost. This is the Ambient Lighting Edit Ghost palette. This is the Ambient Lighting Edit Ghost Unlocked palette. And then last but not least is the Hourglass Ambient Strobe Light palette that just came out that has the Absolute Strobe Light, I'm just making sure I get the names right, Absolute Strobe Light, Pure Strobe Light, and Lucent Strobe Light. So of the Ghost palettes, Ghost and Ghost Unlocked, I'm gonna just do the strobe ones, and then I'll use the strobe ones from this so you guys can see what those look like. So first we're gonna do the Iridescent Strobe Light from the Ghost palette. I'll show you what that one looks like. You can barely see that on my skin. Then we will do the Champagne Strobe Light. See that a little bit better. The Iridescent has a pinky tinge to it. It's a very light pink, but it is a pink. The Champagne has definitely a golden cast. And then we'll do the Absolute Pure and Lucent. Absolute Pure and Lucent. You can see those as well as you can see them. And so what I would say about all of the Hourglass strobe lighting powders, they are technically not named highlighters, but they are certainly highlighting. So if you put on, and I'm gonna put this one on today, one of the strobe lighting powders, one of these from the new the re-released palette, I can promise you it's gonna be a very bright, very strong highlight. Let's go ahead and use the Absolute. And I'm not gonna do a lot, guys, because it's really, that's the Absolute. And I'm gonna push my hair back a little bit so you can see here. Look at that highlight. It is a very strong pigmented highlight. All of the strobe illuminating powders from Hourglass are like that. The ones in this new re-release palette are even more so. If you're looking for something that is a really strong highlight, something that's really vavoom, that is the way to go. In my opinion, I would go with the Hourglass. I would definitely buy the re-released palette, the one that just came out. I would say if it's something that you're interested in, you're on the fence, and you're looking for, you know, a really good highlight, something that's gonna bring you a lot of shine, that is the way to go. All right, so now let's go to highlighters, or at least the ones that call themselves highlighters. And there are a few. So let's start with the Ofra highlight. So this is the Ofra Start Inspired. This is the Samantha March collaboration, and I did an entire video on her collab. The Ofra highlighters are similar to the Hourglass ones. They're pigmented, they're very blingy. They don't have little bits of mica or anything like that on your face, but they're just really pretty. This one in particular, I really like. It's got like a pinky cast to it. You can see that. And this one works really well for my skin. It has like a pinky cool undertone. It's very icy. It's got, you know, a lot of shine to it. I really enjoy it, and I think it works really well on my skin tone. If you're looking for something that's a warmer tone, like a golden or champagne, That particular one does not have that. That's definitely a cooler toned highlight, but it is a beautiful highlight. It's very icy, it's very pretty, and I really enjoy it. It's very creamy. And so far, the ones that I've gone through, I haven't really been saying whether they're creamy or not. For the most part, the Hourglass ones are definitely creamy and blend right into the skin. The Ofra does as well. The Tom Ford is very creamy. I'd say it's not as creamy as the Hourglass, but more like the Ofra. The Chanel ones are very powdery, like very powdery, almost dry. And the fluids are, of course, dewy and fluid because they're different. The next I would do is the Charlotte Tilbury Filmstar Bronze and Glow. So again, it has a bronzer. Sorry for the way this one looks, guys. I travel with this. It's getting dirty and gross. I won't do the bronzer in there because that's definitely a bronzer. But I will put it next to the Samantha March Ofra. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's definitely a more golden, a true golden highlight. I love the Filmstar Bronze and Glow. I travel with it when I was traveling. It works really well for my skin. I mean, it's probably my favorite. It probably is my favorite combination highlight bronzer. My favorite bronzer, as I've said, is the Tom Ford Terra, but that's a very close second. And the highlight and bronze just work really well for me. It's not over the top. It's not as blingy as the Ofra or the Hourglass, but it's smooth. It blends into my skin. It looks really pretty. And I think it's a good color for most folks. It would work for someone as pale as me, up into a light medium. It looks really nice. It's just a good all-around staple highlighter. Then I'll do the newest to my collection, which is the Carolina Herrera highlighter, which is a cream. And it is definitely more golden in shade. If you can see it. So again, this is the Ofra. Here's the Charlotte Tilbury. Here's the Carolina Herrera. You can see it's a much more golden shade, warm shade. It's very pretty. Of course, it's very creamy because it is a cream. It's not a powder. I haven't been using it for very long, but it's a more natural golden glow. It's not like the Ofra and the Hourglass ones. It's definitely not that dramatic, but it's a very pretty everyday look. And if you like a cream, it's an excellent choice because most of these that I use are powders, and it goes on really easily. It blends in really well with your skin. I used my hands when I did it, and it looked really nice. And I think it's a good product. I haven't really worn it long enough to know about the wear time of it, but I think overall it works pretty well. Next is the Covergirl. Now this is called True Blend Super Stunner Palette. The number on it, the name on it is It's Lit. And it's got 3 shades in it. A pink shade, a golden shade, and like a yellow shade. I'll do the pinky shade first. Then the browner, I don't know, like neutral. It's hard to explain. These are very powdery, but they're also, they're hard to explain. These are really like creamy powdery. I really like these. I did them for drugstore makeup video that I did, and I really enjoy them. I think they're really excellent highlighters, and for the price point, I mean, you can't beat that. They actually are some of my favorites because they work really well on my skin tone. This was the lightest. They did have different shades. I'm gonna open it up and show it to you. They did have different shades. This was the lightest palette they had. I really like it. I think they're very creamy. They lay down really well. They blend into the skin. They're a really good choice at an excellent price point. They're really good highlighters. I would recommend them along the lines of, you know, to be honest, I think I would put them before the Tom Ford, the Chanel. Yeah, I would definitely put them before the Tom Ford and Chanel and the Carolina Herrera. I still put the Hourglass first, then the Ofra. Yeah. So the last two are a little bit different. One is the Charlotte Tilbury Easy Highlighter Beauty Light Wand. They have this in a contour bronzer as well. You can see that shade. It's very shiny. Shiny, shiny. I actually love it. It's really easy. Like you can just, you just put it on. I'm not gonna put it on now because I already have the Hourglass on. I think shine into, well, you know what? Let me put a little bit on. You can see how blingy, how highlighted that is. It's gorgeous. And I really like the Charlotte Tilbury Easy Highlighter and Easy Bronzer Contour. These are great. They're easy to travel with. They have like an on and off, so you can sort of switch it to off and throw it in your purse. You don't have to worry about it. It doesn't break, obviously, because it's not a powder. They're easy to do too, because they have sponges at the top. You just put it on your skin and then you rub it in like I did with my hand, and it gives you a really pretty glow. So this does come in different shades, and I think there's a Pillow Talk one now. I could be wrong about that. I'll double check. But which I assume has more of a pinky cast to it. This is definitely golden for those of you who are looking for, that type of shade. But if you like the Pillow Talk shade, I'm pretty sure that that particular formula comes in that. And last but not least is the Pat McGrath. This is very old. It's the Golden Shiny Stick, which came in the Skin Fetish kit. So part of it is a balm on this side that you can put on your skin that can just kind of be like a natural balm, like shiny, dewy look. And then the other side is a highlighter, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then there's a pigment that comes with it. And in my Pat McGrath look that I just did, the Bronze Seductress, I use this as a highlighter. And this combination is very, very, very warm and very golden and very glowing. That's what those look like. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Pat McGrath Shiny Stick, Golden Shiny Stick. And then this is the Golden Pigment. And if you really want something over the top, you put the balm on, then you put on the highlighter, then you put on the Golden Pigment. It's like you could see it in another state. I mean, it's shiny, but it's very warm. It's very golden. Like when I say the rest have a golden cast to them or more of a pinky cast, this one is like a yellow gold. Not a warm gold, but like that yellow gold. It's definitely that, I mean, it's on that spectrum. So if you like a cooler, icier look, that's not gonna be what you want. So if I were to say what my favorites are, I would say the Hourglass Strobe powders are my favorite. I think, although that they are really shiny and very dramatic, I think they blend beautifully into the skin. And I love them. The creaminess of them, they're just gorgeous. Ofra is a very close second. At the moment, I only have the Start Inspired, which is a very cool color, which most of mine are actually, now that I look at all of them, most of them are warm. Most of them are warm shades. I have a few that are cool. The Ofra, one of the Covergirl ones is cool, but the rest of them are pretty golden. One of the Hourglass ones is cooler, but for the most part, I do have more golden shades. I'm not sure if I did that. It's funny, maybe my eye just goes towards the warmer shades and the golden shades, but I actually enjoy the cooler ones because of my undertones, because of the fact that my skin is definitely on the cool side. I think one of the reasons I probably go towards the warmer ones is in the winter and the fall here in New England, I probably just don't wear highlighter as much. I think I wear highlighter more in the summer and spring, and I think of golden tones for whatever reason. Kind of interesting. Huh, never really laid it all out before, but they definitely are warmer and golden in tone. I would say that the Charlotte Tilbury is probably third. That's really one of my favorites. And then the Covergirl is very close. Between the Charlotte Tilbury and the Covergirl, I might even pick the Covergirl because that palette has 3 different tones in it. The price point is excellent. It doesn't have a bronzer with it, but again, I mean, if we're just talking highlights, those are very, very close. The Chanel ones are not my favorite. The illuminating powders, the Les Beiges, they're pretty, they're nice, but they're powdery and I don't know. I don't think they're great. I think they're okay. The Tom Ford is excellent. I love most of the Tom Ford products, but that particular palette is not my favorite. The Shade and Illuminate cream ones, I really enjoy those, but at the moment I don't have one because I actually used it all up and it was intensity 1. I've been trying to get the intensity 0.5, but it's always sold out when I go to look for it. So when I finally get that, I'll let you know. The fluids I think are great more for me. I like them for more of an all over like primerizer type of thing. I don't generally use them for just highlights. So that's my take. And the Pat McGrath one, of course, is very blingy, very shiny. When I'm looking for something really over the top, that's what I use. I think that's it for now. I actually do have a couple of other highlighters on their way. I have taken advantage of some of the sales lately. Probably not good. But that's my highlighter. That's all of my highlighters at the moment. It's not too bad. Like I said, I decluttered a little bit because it was getting a little out of control. If you have highlighters that you'd love, that you would like to share with everyone, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. If there's, you know, a particular highlight that I didn't mention that you think I should go out and get, let me know about that too, especially while the Sephora sale's going on. And I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. As always, if you could hit subscribe, if you could hit like, that really does help my channel and I greatly appreciate it. And I hope to see you again really soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.